The upset alert concern meter is generated by Flex Power. They can generate any of your tailgates this weekend. Best generators on the market, but can they generate upsets? Well, I've got 6 of them in my hand right now that indicates perhaps. This is what we do on Thursday. We throw out some games, scale of 1 to 10. What is my concern? What is my upset alert concern? First game, Penn State, Ohio State. Everyone laughs. We should just bring the laugh track back from the Tuesday show. This is a game of the year, right? No, it just was in the preseason. And now yet another lamb is served up for the slaughter in front of Ohio State. Or are they? Unlike the previous lambs, this is at least a top 25 talent roster still. What else can we say about Penn State this year? Not all that much. They are coming off a bye. So is Ohio State. It is a Super Bowl spot for Penn State, but then again, Ohio State's used to people treating them as their Super Bowl. Penn State's got to run the ball like 45, 50 times here and just see what happens. Look, it could be that Ohio State's run defense is rock solid. We're trying to nitpick here. We're trying to find potential deficiencies. They're not going to be glaring. It's Ohio State. It's the number 1 team in the country. No one's even arguing that here. The only thing that you may be able to say about Ohio State is, well, who have they played? And I make fun of people all the time because, like, the Indianapolis Colts could descend into the Sun Belt and be the Indianapolis Colts in the Sun Belt, but people would say, yeah, but who have they played? It's the Colts. They're beating everyone by 130. Oh, who have they played, though? So Ohio State, who have they played? Well, compared to, like, Alabama's schedule, not many. Not many worthy opponents. It doesn't matter if they're that good, they're that good. The one thing you're waiting to see is there somebody like Penn State, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, Michigan, is there somebody that exposes something, even if they don't beat them, that makes you go, let's keep an eye on that for the playoffs. But as far as the upset alert concern meter here, it's like a 2.5 for me. Like, no way Ohio State's about to let this happen. Ohio State is 115th in explosive play rate offensively, which can fool you until you realize they're 18th in cap busters. Cap busters are the huge 40, 50-plus yard plays, which means, hey, if you pop the top, you don't have to keep hitting plays on that drive. The drive's over. You just scored. So I'm putting a 2.5 on this. I candidly don't expect it to be a very quick game. I don't expect it to be in doubt in the fourth quarter. And that's where I am on that. Next up, Texas Tech at Kansas State. This one's different. Texas Tech's favored by 7.5 in Manhattan, Kansas, and I need people to pay attention because nobody is. I haven't heard much of a whisper about this game around the country this week. You know what people are talking about? Some of them are talking about Texas Tech. They're saying, they got Brigham Young next week. Yeah, they do. But they've got a game before that. It's against Kansas State. Oh, Kansas State, though, they suck. No, they did. But they've won 3 of 4. Because that's the funny thing that happens when you keep playing football games. You kind of flow and ebb and flow and ebb. And I said it in that order for a reason, because that's kind of what Kansas State's season's been so far. But they've scored 40-plus in back-to-back games. It's a massive look-ahead spot for Texas Tech, but it shouldn't be because they've already lost a game. So they're vulnerable. They're still bleeding a little bit from that Arizona State loss. They got back on track against Oklahoma State last week, but everyone body bags Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State shows up, and all you do is unzip the bag so you can zip it back up. And then you toe tag them, you send them on their way. Well, this is a different animal. This is Kansas State. It's a really well-coached team. What kind of Avery Johnson performance am I getting here? Hey, Baron Morton starting for Texas Tech, but the backup's out for the year. Okay, so we don't have anything to fall back on like we have so far this year with Texas Tech. I'm putting a 7 on it. There are serious Fall Don't Lie Tour implications on this game. I hope I haven't been unclear there. Wink, nod. They got to get the job done. Can't afford to lose this one. I'm putting a 7 on the upset alert concern meter. Next up, let's go to the SEC. I think people are falsely believing that Ole Miss has just made it through the fog. They went to Georgia, they lost, but they went to Norman, they won. And now it's kind of, all right, we can take a deep breath and we can talk about what seed we're going to be in the playoff, and we can talk about whether or not Lane's going to leave. And I'm sitting here the whole time like, wait a second, they're not off this week. And then other people are like, well, yeah, but they kind of are because it's South Carolina. And I'm like, same one that led Bama in the fourth quarter? And they're like, yeah, but, I mean, that ripped their soul out, didn't it? Well, last year they played a game like that against Alabama, and they lost in heartbreaking style. You know what they did the very next week? They went on the road and smoked Oklahoma, and it turned their season around. And South Carolina's sitting here 3-5. They got to win 3 of the next 4 to even be bowl eligible. It's going to be a very, very tall task. I will grant you that. But that team hasn't quit. That team's fighting. And Ole Miss is sitting here off back-to-back high-emotion spots on the road. You still have Lenore Sellers playing for South Carolina. You still got the ability to somewhat maybe run the ball here. Defense, special teams, maybe a complementary effort on the road. Ole Miss they're not just some team that rolls the helmet out. You can't afford to think that way. So I'm putting a 5.5 on the upset alert concern scale here. This is one that I just wouldn't be totally shocked if things fell the right way to see is a very tight ball game in the fourth quarter. Next up, hey, wait just a second. I appreciate you guys watching. Most of you are subscribed. If you're not, please do so. It's free. It helps us keep the show free, and that's how we do college football year-round. All right, back to the video. One of the emerging darlings of the college football playoff picture, Georgia Tech favored by 5.5 at NC State. NC State's claim to fame this year is they're the only ones to beat Virginia somehow, and it wasn't even a conference game. Again, somehow. I don't know. Their results at Georgia Tech are so tied to Haynes King, which is a great thing because Haynes King is having a great year. But if he doesn't have a great individual Saturday, they can lose against anyone because there aren't, 4 or 5 other folks that are really individually shining for them. They're playing good enough to win, but Haynes King's got to show up. November, like I said, longest month of the year. This is a classic case of a team that's about to find out how long the month of November can be. Georgia Tech, run defense. What would you say? What would you guess? Georgia Tech's ranked run defense. 87th, friends. 87th. Who has the ACC's leading rusher? NC State does. Hollywood Smothers. Do you smell what I smell? I don't know. I'm just saying I'm putting an 8 on this game. On the upset alert concern meter, I have moderate to severe concerns for Georgia Tech this weekend. Next up, Cincinnati's at Utah. And game day's out there, and everyone's got this game circled, and yet FanDuel looks and says, Utah minus 10.5. And everyone, as far as I can tell, has put their hard-earned money behind Cincinnati. What do we make of lines that make no sense? What do we do when the lines make no sense? We run as fast as we can. It's very scary. It's a good thing this game's being played the weekend of Halloween. It's very scary stuff. So we got Devon Dampier against Brendan Sorsby. Really, really good quarterback matchup here. A couple of guys above 65% completion. Man, I told you guys the other night, I was somewhat surprised to pull up our model, which is not powered by FanDuel. It's brought to you by FanDuel, but it's not connected to FanDuel. But I told you in our model, Utah is the highest rated Big 12 team, even above and beyond Texas Tech. Well, this tracks. Like this point spread, as far as the model's concerned, kind of makes sense. Now, at that point, you could be driving around saying, oh, big deal. Models don't win games. Point spreads don't win games. That's true. It's just predictive. Now we got to find out how accurate the model is, how accurate the power rating is. Utah, the last time a bunch of you watched them, they lost to Brigham Young. They were minus 2 turnovers there. So the thinking is you get home field at your back. Maybe you flip the turnover margin, or at the very least it's even. I put an 8 on this game. I'm very worried for Utah, but our model thinks they win and cover. And FanDuel's got them at 10.5, so you're paying a premium if you think Utah is going to cover. I don't know. I just don't. I've seen Utah have a couple of opportunities to run away from folks this year, and they really haven't. So until I see it, I hadn't seen it. I'm going to put an 8 on the upset alert concern meter. And the game we're going to be at, which we broke down the other night, but I did want to circle around and quickly talk about, is Miami at SMU. Miami's favored by 12.5. Now, I have hit up our sources in the weather community. I am the source. Low 60s at kickoff, which for most of you is a lovely November day, but it is basically the Arctic tundra for anyone from Miami. So I am concerned here about the amount of long sleeves that I'm going to see come out of that locker room. I'm pausing for effect. I hope the people the proper parties that is directed at, heed that warning. SMU's in a big bounce back spot. See, everyone else in the country saw SMU lose to Wake Forest, and they cast aspersions towards SMU. I look at it and I say, what better spot to bounce back? That is what college football is all about. That's what happens this time of year all the time. I think they're going to get an inspired effort from SMU. I already picked SMU to cover this number earlier this week. Look, they rush the passer. They get after the quarterback. Defense is not great at SMU, but they do get after the quarterback. They're number one in takeaways as a result of that. So if you can ambush Carson Beck and Miami can't get the ground game going, there is upset potential here. And remember, Miami's another one of those teams. Still highly ranked, but they've already lost. They lost to Louisville at home. This is a 7 for me. I'm putting a 7 on the upset alert concern meter there. Still picking Miami to win. Still rolling with them to go to the playoff. Doing all of those things. But that doesn't mean I can't be a little nervous.